Now, for those of us managing diabetes, keeping an eye on blood sugar is absolutely key. And, the fruits we choose can make a really big difference. While fruits are packed with essential nutrients, it's true that some of them can unfortunately cause those unwanted dangerous glucose spikes. So, in this discussion, we're going to take a closer look at 5 fruits that are often considered challenging for diabetics based on their glycemic index and load. Our goal here is to help you make really informed dietary decisions for better health. Top 5 worst fruits that spike blood sugar in diabetics. 1. Watermelon. All right, let's dive into our list, starting with number 1, watermelon. Watermelon. That classic summer delight. It often gets a bit of a side eye in the diabetic community. And here's why. It has a surprisingly high glycemic index, or GI, of 72. This means it can indeed cause a pretty rapid jump in blood sugar levels for many folks with diabetes. You might be thinking, how can a fruit that's over 90% water do that? Well, the secret is in the type of sugar it contains and just how fast that sugar gets absorbed into your bloodstream. Even with all that water, the carbs in watermelon are mostly simple sugars, and these get digested and absorbed really quickly, leading to that potential spike. But hold on. It's not all doom and gloom. Watermelon is actually packed with some great nutrients. It's a good source of vitamin C, vitamin A, which comes as beta-carotene, and that powerful antioxidant, lycopene, which, by the way, is linked to good heart health and even cancer prevention. Plus, it gives you potassium and magnesium, which are essential minerals for feeling your best. So, for diabetics who really love their watermelon, the key isn't necessarily to avoid it altogether, but to be really careful with portion sizes and to eat it mindfully. So, how can you enjoy watermelon a bit more safely if you're managing diabetes? Well, experts often suggest limiting your portion to about 1 cup, that's around 150 grams, at any one time. It's also a smart move to pair watermelon with foods that have protein or healthy fats, like a small handful of nuts or a little piece of cheese. Doing this can help slow down how quickly that sugar gets absorbed and lessen the impact on your blood sugar. And here's a tip. Try not to eat watermelon on an empty stomach or right after a meal that's already heavy in carbs. Now, if watermelon still seems to give your blood sugar a hard time, you might want to think about alternatives. Berries, for example, like strawberries, blueberries, or raspberries, can give you that same refreshing feeling, but have a much lower GI. And even cucumbers, though they're a vegetable, can offer that cool, hydrating crunch with hardly any impact on your glucose levels. 2. Very ripe brown bananas. Next up, at number 2, we have very ripe or brown bananas. Bananas are super popular and convenient, right? But their effect on blood sugar can really change as they get riper. A very ripe banana, the kind with brown spots that taste extra sweet, has a higher glycemic index. We're talking around 62 for a ripe one, and it can go even higher as it gets overripe. This happens because the starches in a greener banana turn into simple sugars as it ripens. Now, a medium-sized ripe banana can have about 27 to 30 grams of carbohydrates. That's a good chunk, and it can quickly raise your blood glucose, especially if you eat it all by itself. You see, the sugars in bananas are a mix: glucose, fructose, and sucrose. While fructose itself has a lower GI, glucose and sucrose get absorbed more quickly, and that's what adds to the overall blood sugar response. So, the riper the banana, the more of these quick-acting sugars it has. This doesn't mean you can never eat bananas, but being aware of this is really important. So for those of us with diabetes, picking bananas that are a bit less ripe, maybe still a little green, can be a smarter move. These have more resistant starch, which doesn't get fully digested and acts more like fiber. This means a slower, gentler rise in blood sugar. And, of course, portion control is absolutely key. Instead of a whole medium or large banana, maybe just have half. Pairing it with some protein or healthy fat, like a tablespoon of peanut butter or a few almonds, can also help cushion that sugar absorption and stop a sharp spike. Timing is also a factor. Try to avoid eating a ripe banana on an empty stomach or with a meal that's already packed with carbs. Eating it after a balanced meal that includes fiber and protein is usually a better way to lessen its effect on your glucose readings. 3. Pineapple. Coming in at number 3 is pineapple. Oh, that tropical sweetness and juicy texture of pineapple. It's another fruit that people with diabetes should be a bit cautious with. Generally, it has a medium to high glycemic index, often said to be around 59, but this can change based on things like how ripe it is and where it was grown. Some sources even list its GI as higher. That wonderful taste comes from a good amount of natural sugar, mainly sucrose, glucose, and fructose, which can definitely cause a noticeable jump in blood glucose after you eat it. Now, even with these glycemic concerns, pineapple does offer a lot of nutritional goodies. It's an excellent source of vitamin C, which is a powerful antioxidant, and manganese, an essential mineral that helps with metabolism and bone health. Pineapple also has something called bromelain, which is a unique enzyme mix known for its anti-inflammatory benefits and for helping with digestion. So, for diabetics, the real trick is to balance these good things against the chance of blood sugar spikes. If you have diabetes and you'd like to have pineapple in your diet, moderation is absolutely key. Try to stick to small portions like about a half cup, that's around 80 grams, of fresh pineapple chunks. Eating pineapple as part of a balanced meal that has protein and fiber can also help slow down how fast the sugar is absorbed. For example, tossing a few pineapple chunks into a chicken salad or a Greek yogurt parfait is a better idea than eating it all by itself. Definitely steer clear of canned pineapple that's packed in heavy syrup. That just adds a ton of extra sugar. If you go for canned, choose pineapple in its own juice, and even then it's a good idea to drain the juice. Some people think eating the core, which is tougher and has more fiber, might have a slightly lower glycemic impact, but the main thing to remember is portion control and eating it with other types of food. 4. Cantaloupe. All right, number 4 on our list is cantaloupe. This popular melon, with its sweet orange flesh and refreshing taste, usually falls into the medium glycemic index range, typically somewhere between 56 and 69, with some saying it's around 65. While that's not as high as watermelon, this GI still means you need to be pretty careful with it if you're managing diabetes. Its sweetness comes from natural sugars that get absorbed fairly quickly, and that can cause a noticeable rise in blood sugar if you eat a lot of it. So, why might cantaloupe affect blood sugar more than some other fruits? Well, even though it has a good amount of water, its carbohydrates, like in many melons, tend to be sugars that are easily absorbed. But cantaloupe is definitely not empty calories. It's an excellent source of vitamin A from things like beta-carotene and vitamin C, both of which are strong antioxidants that help your immune system and eye health. It also gives you potassium, which is important for keeping your blood pressure in check. For diabetics who want to enjoy some cantaloupe, portion control is the absolute golden rule. A serving size of about 1 cup of diced cantaloupe, that's around 160 to 170 grams, is a reasonable amount to aim for. To help lessen its impact on your blood glucose, try eating cantaloupe with foods that have protein or healthy fats. For instance, have a small serving with some cottage cheese, a few slices of avocado, or a handful of walnuts. This kind of combination can help slow down how quickly the sugars are digested and absorbed, leading to a more gentle rise in blood sugar. And just like with other fruits that have a moderate GI, it's best not to eat cantaloupe on an empty stomach or along with other foods that are high in carbohydrates. 5. Mango. And finally, at number 5, we have mango. Often called the king of fruits because of its rich, sweet flavor and amazing texture, mango can be a bit tricky for those with diabetes. Its glycemic index is typically around 51 to 60, which puts it in the low to medium range, depending on the type and how ripe it is. Some sources even put it closer to 60. But the thing is, it has a high natural sugar content. mostly sucrose and fructose. This means that even with a moderate GI, eating large amounts can really affect your blood sugar levels. In fact, a medium-sized mango can pack over 40 grams of sugar. How ripe a mango is makes a big difference to its sugar content and how it affects your blood sugar. The riper the mango, the more sugar it has, and the more likely it is to cause a glucose spike. Mangoes are such a wonderful seasonal treat, and often their best sweetness happens when they're perfectly ripe, which makes portion control even more important. Besides being incredibly tasty, mango is also a nutritional powerhouse. It's packed with vitamin C, vitamin A, folate, and fiber. Now, that fiber can help slow down sugar absorption a bit, but the total amount of sugar is still something to keep in mind. When it comes to eating mango, if you have diabetes, you need to be especially careful about how it's prepared. Dried mango, for instance, is a much more concentrated source of sugar and calories, and it has a much higher GI than fresh mango. So, it's generally best to avoid dried mango or eat it in extremely tiny amounts. Fresh mango, in very controlled portions, maybe just a few slices or about half a cup, is a better way to go. And like with other fruits, pairing it with some protein or fat can help buffer its effect on your blood sugar. If you really love mango but find it affects your blood sugar too much, you could consider fruits with a similar tropical feel but less sugar, like papaya in moderation. Or you could focus on lower GI fruits like berries or kiwi when you're looking for a sweet treat. Safer fruit alternatives. The good news is there are many delicious fruits that have a low glycemic index, 55 or less, and are generally safer choices for diabetics. These include most berries, like strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, and blackberries. Cherries, grapefruit, pears, apples, and plums also fit into this safer category. These types of fruits usually cause a slower, more gradual rise in blood sugar compared to those high GI fruits like watermelon or very ripe bananas. When you're picking out fruits, think about what's in season for the best flavor and nutrients. Choosing these lower GI options more often and still practicing portion control even with these safer choices can really help you maintain stable blood glucose levels. And the best part? You can still enjoy the natural sweetness and all the nutritional benefits that fruit has to offer. So, to wrap things up, while managing diabetes definitely means you need to be careful and monitor your fruit consumption, it doesn't mean you have to eliminate fruit completely. By understanding which fruits are more likely to cause those significant blood sugar spikes, and by being really diligent about portion control, individuals with diabetes can absolutely still enjoy a varied, nutritious diet, and all this while successfully keeping those glucose levels stable for better overall health. Now, we'd love to hear from you. Have you experienced blood sugar spikes from any of these fruits we've talked about? Please share your experience in the comments below. And hey, why not subscribe to our newsletter for more diabetes management tips? You can also join our community to learn about other foods that might affect your glucose control. Your insights and experiences can be a huge help to others.